working.
Patience, you have access to some very valuable real estate, which is the 3 to 5 minutes that Anheuser-Busch spends on Super Bowl every year. So tell us a little bit about how you, like, what's your process? Like, how do you vet the artists and different ways you can?
Yeah, working across our portfolio brands, I think our approach, it's probably not super different, but we do take our time with it. We are not big shoppers, if you will, of artists and sponsorship until we've landed a really big idea. So we spend a significant amount of time going through a strategic exercise of really understanding the brand, the DNA, the way consumers connect to the brand or what their perception is, what does success look like. We will then spend a significant amount of time looking for a big idea before we even go to the industry. And that's a bit of reverse engineering, making sure that there's something that the brand can really have ownership of, whether it's a story or a platform or an idea or whatever it may be. And once we've landed that big idea, then we go out to our partners and pitch the idea, and then we talk about what the right brand or what the right artist might be, what the right sponsorship assets might be, or maybe if it doesn't exist, we go create it ourselves, like a Made in America. We didn't feel like there was a right place for Budweiser to sit in music, and so we created a wholly ownable asset. But that's not always the case, and not all brands can make that type of investment. So it really does depend on what we're trying to accomplish and what success looks like for each individual brand.
And Lars, what are some blanket no's within the band?
You know, we are a harder rock band that sort of just coast along in our own little world, and blanket no's, I'd probably rather not get in. I mean, if anything, I mean, stuff that's cheesy, stuff that's so just grossly commercial or void of any kind of substance or credibility. I mean, is that putting it harsh enough?
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, all this stuff to me, if you think back, you know, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, remember when The Who got in bed with, was it the late 70s, early 80s? The Who got in bed with somebody for like a US tour, maybe 25 or 30 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And they got a lot of shit. This is on the web, right? So they got a lot of shit for this in Rolling Stone magazine, and you know, at that time, where they were going was sort of like they were venturing into a territory that was sort of unexplored.
Yeah.
And so it's a different time now, okay? Because all of these entities are coming much more kind of meshed together. The difference between music and this and film and corporate and banking, I mean, it's just, everything's becoming, the lines are becoming much more blurred. And so, first of all. Secondly, I think that people have much short of attention span, and this type of stuff is just, people don't pay attention to sort of the negative side of it. Oh my God, you sell out. You got in bed with so-and-so, right? You sell out. So everything is just much, it sits in a different place than it did 10, 20, or 30 years ago with these types of things. And I think that, you know, there are, to get back to where you started, for us, there are just really no absolutes. Probably the stuff that we get the most of any of the stuff that you guys are all throwing around is sync. Is sync stuff. I mean, they come in multiple on a weekly basis. And so obviously, somebody used the word real estate. Some of the words you guys throw around are a little foreign to me. Moving product and so on. We have different words for that. But you know, obviously, we have in our world, you know, there's this particular song that may be a little more valuable than that particular song.
Do you think about what the guys would want to do? Like, there might be a brand that the guys all love, but then if you consider your fans, they'd be like, oh, why the hell is Metallica doing this? Like, like I'm curious. Like,
yeah, I think that
is it layers of your thought process?
Yeah, that does come up. If you line 20 Metallica, if you put 20 Metallica fans around this table, they're going to tell you 20 different things. Okay, so you've got, you know, guys our age who've been with us for 20, 30 years. You've got people that are into the lyrical element. You've got people that are into the musical element. You've got kids that, you know, we used to say, these kids weren't born when the first record came out. Now it's like, these kids weren't born when the Black Album came out. So we have so many different people that appreciate what we do that the minute we have a conversation of what does the fan want, we usually stop ourselves because it's a lost cause. So we really always try to turn the conversation inward and say, what are we comfortable with? What do we want? Is this something that we feel that we can be comfortable with? Is this something we can get behind? Is this something that, like you said, if we have to scream from every rooftop and be proud of it, without feeling that it's not so much about selling out, but whether we're selling our souls. And is this, you know, as you lay in bed every night and go, do I feel good about the choices I made? You know, and if you can live with it.
That's what I always say. It's like the artist is the one who has to face their fans and deal with the comments on the web and all that kind of stuff. So the artist has to be comfortable with whatever I'm asking or the brand is asking them to do. And if you can't do that evaluation and say, I'm good with this, just bring it on, then maybe we shouldn't do it. Because that's when, because typically, and I'm talking more brand deals than sync deals, because it's usually a long-term, like a year relationship with a brand. And brand folks, when they do the deal, they expect, like, you are now like their brother. Like, they're gonna ask you everything and kind of push the artist to the limit of what they're comfortable doing.
Well, and I also think that if there's doubt, if you're sitting in the middle going, you know, then it's always better to err on the no side.
The biggest thing, right, is there's enough for everybody to win, right? See, every artist is also a consumer. Every consumer feels like there's a bit of an artist trapped inside of him. Given the volume, the tens of thousands of artists that are out there right now, if I can't find 5 organic, then I don't need to be doing what I'm doing. I think the problem is that you have a small number of brands that are really active in the space, right? You have a small number of artists who are searching for that, and even smaller number of record companies. And so everyone's just in this sort of musical chairs where it's a little bit of a forced fit. And I think going back to relationships, for those that are better at this, I mean, I'm not just saying it because Camille's here, she's fundamentally better, right? So not everybody, not all representation is created equal. We also say in any type of deal we do, if you got to go back to the contract, then it's not a good deal, right? So once we sign you, you know, that's when I want you coming up with ideas. You say, hey, you know what, have you thought of this? Because we're thinking of that. At the same token, I want you to trust me enough where I say, you know what, Lars, maybe let's do X, Y, Z. And we're not telling each other because it's a critique, we're telling each other because it's better. And, you know, again, it may not be Chase and Metallica, but I guarantee you it could be Metallica and someone else, vice versa.